Hello and welcome to our Midweek podcast of First Baptist Sweetwater. My name is Jerry Hendricks, and I have a very special guest with me here today, Teak Hamilton.
Yes, it's me.
Teak, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Hey, I want you to know that when I start thinking about my time here at Sweetwater and start measuring the different levels of fun that I've had, I go back to last night. I think that was the best ever.
That was a lot of fun.
The first of 3 parades
Yes.
for our graduating seniors.
I've only been in a couple parades in my life, but that was by far my favorite.
Oh yeah, it was
really
crazy
enjoyed
fun. Yeah, I had really no expectations other than went to Sonic and got a drink, and I thought
I was just hoping we would have like more than 5 cars show up. Like that was my thought, and maybe I'm thinking too negative. I'm going, we need more than 5 cars, and I knew that we had you and me and Lisa. And so then I was going, if all else fails, I'll make Stacy bring her car and Robert can bring his, and we'll have at least 5.
Well, yeah, it was so neat because I mean we had talked about it in our publications, but we didn't have details because you're having to work out all the logistics,
Right.
and we didn't want to wait on that to get people on board. So we basically just had. Well, in the beginning, we didn't even have the dates. I don't
Right.
think
We had to
just
find
said,
out from
we're going to
parents.
do this. Get out and join us, and they did.
Yeah.
Real proud of our church in a number of ways, but wow, we did a great job last night.
We got another one tonight, Wednesday, 6:30. We did have one girl who couldn't get off of work for the Tuesday, Thursday, so we're going to go celebrate hers tonight, and then tomorrow at 5:30. So tonight at 6:30, tomorrow at 5:30. Still some time to be apart.
A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. That when you think about all that we've had to adjust in this experience of being in homes and things like that, that so far has to be the highlight of our experience.
Stephanie Sanders and I texted back and forth yesterday about how personal it felt, and that it was a really cool way of being able to see those kids in a little different element and cheer them on.
Yeah. Well, it's, in the graduation exercises, the moments of glory are just brief.
Yes.
And then they move on to the next one. So the extended shout out that you're able to give them in that parade fashion was really neat. Yeah. And then, like we'd already commented, the number of family members who were in the yards also, that was really neat to see.
Yeah. A lot of smiles, a lot of tears.
Yeah. Well, and videos. All the family members are holding up their phones videoing.
Yes, they were. There was a lot of Facebook Live. We went live and we didn't even know it.
Yeah, so that was fun. Appreciate you put that together. We're looking forward to the remainder of the parades, and then also Sunday we'll recognize them in our live stream.
Right. Yeah, we're going to have pictures of them. Their parents have already started sending the pictures from young to current, and so there's some really good pictures in there.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about live stream and regathering for a minute.
Okay.
That's on the calendar for us to start regathering in a couple of weeks, May 31st. And we started yesterday in our staff meeting kind of developing our own guidelines for that process, which will include the guidelines by health officials, as well as how we can navigate this for ourselves. But one of the things that we're going to do is we are preparing a video, a backstage video of what goes on Sunday mornings. And we'll show that video on our social media on the week after Sunday the 24th. So in a couple of weeks, we'll have that video together. And you can kind of get a feel for what's actually happening up here on a week-to-week basis after really the first couple of weeks. Now we've kind of gotten into the routine. There's, I think, 9 of us here, and all spread out doing our own thing. And but you'll be able to see that and kind of see just what goes on behind the curtain, and invite you to kind of be looking for that and anticipating that. And then on the 31st, which will be the first Sunday of regathering for us, what we're going to do is really encourage people to continue to worship through live stream. That's going to be an important source for us as we think about people who have compromised health, I guess, or it's just better for them to be at home. We've upped our game in the way that we engage through our media, and we don't want to lower the bar of those expectations once we start regathering in the fall or wherever we're all here in full force. So that on that Sunday, there will be some who will choose to come and gather with us, but we're going to leave everything set up as a live stream. And because we don't know how many people will be here and our worship center is large, I will be speaking to the camera on that day just like I would on a regular basis. So that way it's sort of a two-pronged approach to helping people understand a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes there. And we're so thankful for our team that has worked together to make this thing work in a crunch time. In some ways, we didn't have a lot of time to be able to prepare for it, but they've done a great job of learning, adapting, overcoming challenges. I think the challenge Sunday you said was
Facebook Live had updated to where you had to use Firefox instead of Chrome, and so that caused some issues almost immediately. And it even changed the look of the picture you're sending out. It squeezed it together. So
as one of the early days when we were talking about this, and we get together for a quick evaluation meeting after each Sunday worship, and one of the things pre-worship, one of those weeks, Glenn Bedgood said, well, every week something's new.
Right.
So that's just sort of the adaptability that's required in this, and a little bit of stress.
And it's hard to test run those things, because to truly test run it, you have to go live, and you don't want to put out a random video on Facebook saying, we're testing this out. We're just checking this out, because you want to be meaningful when it goes live and not be like the boy who cried wolf.
It's like learning to swim by jumping in the deep end.
Or being thrown in by John Wayne.
Well, there you go. Either way. I'm not sure what that's from, but there you have it.
Oh, goodness. And I'm not the movie person.
Well, apparently neither are you, Teak.
We'll know before long if Mike Wilkes watches this.
Okay. Well, give us the answer. Today's trivia.
What movie is that from?
What movie is that from where John Wayne
throws a kid into the water because he can't swim?
There you go. There you have it. We've got it out there now for our little survey or contest. Either way, I guess we could pause like you and Lisa do. We did that a couple of weeks ago, right?
We did, and Stacy took a picture of that, and yeah.
I hear that Stacy Hamilton likes the pause every week.
There are quite a few that like the pause.
The pause is maybe become the most
the most memorable
part or interesting part of the children's devotional every week. So. Yeah. We'll pause. You get put the answer there on the feed, and so
if we're gonna do it, you got to do it right.
Yeah,
you got to pause, make the face, and everything.
I'm not ready to do that, and apparently I wasn't ready last time from what I saw in that picture. But
Stacy sent the picture of that one too.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so Sunday we jump back into jump a little bit further down in the book of Acts. I think it's interesting. We'll be in chapter 17, and so we. This year, in the way the lectionary series develops, it doesn't cover some of the other important parts that we would normally cover. With Paul's conversion, we didn't even talk about, in fact, I don't think I mentioned Saul/Paul in the message last week, even though he appears at the stoning of Stephen.
Yeah, not that I remember.
Yeah, so, but now we're at that place where the gospel has continued to spread. It's beginning to be received by different people groups, and there's a whole different level of understanding and either excitement or antagonism towards that message. But you're in chapter 17. He begins to preach or Paul begins to speak after he's developed the majority of his thoughts and theology toward Christ and death and resurrection, which is a major theme of their preaching early on. And so now he's probably before the most intelligent group that anyone could have been around at this particular time. And so he's in the middle of Greek society, the Greek world, and its culture goes way back and is a part of our history. But he plays a convincing role, I think, in helping people understand all how the gospel was brought to us through this person of Jesus.
Paul was definitely educated himself, but that would still be a very intimidating situation to be in, I would assume, because it's, those people are all right up there on his level or higher than his level.
Right. When you consider wisdom and things like that in terms of how thought is developed, it goes back to a lot of it goes back to roots in Greek history and the process by which people learn to think critically. And so that's who he is surrounded by, even at this particular time. And not all of those were there in opposition to him.
Right.
Because there is a fairness in the way that they would study together. There was a fairness in the debate.
Right. But he's still going right into the teeth of their history and their culture and bringing this whole brand new thing in.
He was an outlier in terms of what the makeup of that group would have been. Right. When you look at, he was schooled well, but probably not in the same way that his listeners at this particular time would have been. And so he does encounter some criticism, but along the way, because of the intellectual culture that was there is some intrigue about the story. So he does have the opportunity to gain an ear, I suppose, of the people as he begins to explain the gospel.
Sorry, I got distracted. You gain an ear. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear.
Yeah, good job.
That's 2 today. I might be moving out right now.
That's well played, man.
In this 11 and a half minutes, I'm out of movies.
Well, it's an interesting passage. Most of the time in my process, by the time that we come to podcast, I pretty well have the major thoughts about how I would want to develop something on Sunday. But the last week and this week, I've been a little bit stumped in study before I get to here. So I'm not really sure which direction we'll take this on Sunday. But it just is interesting to me. A part of what has brought this home for me is, 2 years ago or just over a year ago, our family went to Rome.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
it was my first experience in being in a culture, such a historic culture. And so, you think about the infancy of the United States, and sometimes it's hard to understand that until you go to some places that have ancient history,
thousands of years,
ancient history. And so the Roman influence was prevalent at that time, but the heart of intellectualism, I would say, is probably in Greece. But anyways, we'll see what happens Sunday. It'll be a lot, be good and informative for us. We will be recognizing our seniors, all of our seniors, on that day. I believe there are 8.
8.
Okay, I got that part right. I don't always get things right, but
most of the time.
Sometimes I get close. Anyways, I keep it in the park. Another baseball reference. You notice I think I'm using more baseball references since baseball is not being played than when baseball is being played.
Maybe
I'm just showing off for Teague.
Or rubbing it in.
Or rubbing it in one way or the other. But anyways, we look forward to you being able to see us on Sunday, and it should be great fun.
See you then.